This week is Pollinator Week, when we all need to think about these tiny hard workers. Some of them not so tiny. You forget bats are also pollinators too, right? But they are vital to our lives.
I've seen bees the size of bats. There's some
of
big
them
ones
are
out
big,
there.
yeah.
One researcher has a unique assistant or unique assistants who help her to track down nests so she can study what's going on with the bees inside. That researcher is Jacqueline Staub, and her esteemed assistants are with us now. Hopefully we can rally them together. We are, sorry to hear that Darwin is no longer with us, but you have trained the dogs with you that are with you now. And of course, Jane Goodall, Marie Curie, is that the names of the dogs you have?
No, this is Jane Goodall, and then we have Gertie Corey, the first woman in America to win a Nobel Prize.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic.
How do you train them to find the beehives?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we're all about positive reinforcement here. So it's all a huge game to them. They love it. So we put the bee material in a toy of theirs and we play with them. And that's the only toy we give them. And so then they associate that toy with reward and fun. And so that's how we start.
How long does that take? How quickly do they catch on to this?
So the initial imprinting phase takes around 180 hours of contact time between their mouth and the toy. And then the next step is a box with a ball popper. So you put the material in a box, and when they show interest, which they will because they think there are toys in there, you pop that ball up, and it is a huge game, and they love it.
Yeah. Now, have you ever had a problem when they find the nest, like some of the dogs getting stung, and they're like, I don't want to do that anymore?
You know what? That is an absolutely fantastic question. So bumblebees and a lot of our native bees are actually really chill for the most part. They really don't bother you unless you mess with their nest, run your mower over it, etc. But so my dogs are especially trained to point away from the nest so that they don't interfere with the nest itself or any of the activity, which is very important for science. Yeah, because you don't want to interfere with anything because then your data is ruined, know?
That's true, too. So how quickly can a dog find a nest versus how long it would take for you to find the nest?
Right. That's also a great question. So for instance, my first year studying bumblebee nesting, I did it out in Colorado. Alpine, Colorado, and I spent about 3 months on my hands and knees, basically looking under bushes, etc. And then in order to verify a bumblebee nest, you have to stare at a hole for about 30 minutes, sometimes longer, especially in the beginning of the season, because there might not be that much nest traffic. So once you find a hole you think might have a bee, you have to sit there and stare at it and wait and see if you get any bumblebee traffic. And as you can imagine, if you're trying to cover any ground at all, that takes a ton of time. So I found 2 nests that year. And so with the dogs, we're finding 2 to 3 nests per week, per day.
Oh my goodness.
Just depending on where we're looking. So we're finding new information that people haven't been able to access because of these dogs.
So, I want to get into the importance of the bumblebee. Does that change the data at all? I mean, we talk about the bumblebee or bees in general are kind of not doing so healthy as a species, but now that you're finding more, are we thinking that's not the case?
No, that's still absolutely the case. So entofauna or bugs all around the world are actually in decline, as well as many different pollinator species. So believe it or not, there's actually around here, there's about 8 different species of bumblebees where we are in North Carolina. And each one has a different niche, or say. So each one pollinates different flowers based on what it prefers. And so some of our specialist bees that only prefer certain flowers are definitely in decline because of habitat loss, climate change, etc. And so a lot of those bees, but a lot of our more generalist pollinators are doing okay. Like our honeybees, for instance, they're more generalist, so they can pollinate different things. But that doesn't get us out of the dark. The issue is, if we lose our bumblebee and pollinator diversity, we're going to lose that important plant diversity that makes different regions what they are. When you look outside, you don't want it to look the same here as it does everywhere else. You want your yard to be where you're from. You want your native plants, And without all of our native bees, we're going to lose that plant diversity as well.
Absolutely. Jacqueline Staub, bumblebee researcher, and Jane and Gertie. I don't know if we can see them as we leave. I heard them kind of in the background.
Me too.
Running around there.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that, we can use one of the greatest animals out there, these dogs that help enhance the research that takes her for a long, just to find it.
Oh, the dog just popped up. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what else?
Jane.
Yeah. Hey, Jane.
Hey, Jane. The other thing I was thinking too is they help keep her out of the weather that much more. Can you imagine being in the hot sun, searching and searching and searching, or if it's cold out? So that helps get her out of the weather too.
For more stories like this, make sure you guys check out Pattrn on the Weather Channel app on Roku. You can also find us on these streaming channels.